love you. Good.
Get what you fucking deserve!
Nope, nope, nope.
That does not count. That is not Banjo 3. I will not rest until I get Banjo 3. Xbox?
I will hunt you down and get out.
Later.
You expect me to talk?
No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to play Goldeneye.
Goldeneye? You mean the remake? You can just kill me.
No, nonsense, I would not remake. I wouldn't wish that on my enemies. The original for the N64.
Oh, in that case, okay. I'm good.
Quite impressive. Whew, that was close. Where was I? Oh, that's right. GoldenEye 007.
To talk about GoldenEye on the N64, we really have to go back to where it all began. With a little game I'd like to call Doom. No, not Dune, the movie / book. No, Doom, starring The Rock.
Of course!
Doom really needs no introduction. I'm sure you know what Doom is, but for those of you who don't, it was a game that paved the way for modern first-person shooters, and GoldenEye. GoldenEye was my very first 007 movie I ever was allowed to see back in the 90s. But much like it was a first for me, it was also a first for others, like Pierce Brosnan, his first role as 007, and Judi Dench, her first role as M. It was set to be a reboot for the series that had a hiatus for a few years before the release. The movie GoldenEye went on to be a huge success at the box office and spawn this incredible game that we're talking about right now. So that brings us to Rare. Rare had the task of making the GoldenEye game as a 2D platformer for the Super Nintendo. Now, as horrible as that sounds, thankfully it didn't happen. Otherwise, Call of Duty would look very different. And I wouldn't have been getting called in my late teens.
Your mom's voice! Sounds like you just deep throated a cow. Yeah, I deep throated your mom.
Thankfully, one of Rare's programmers heard that the game was being made and wanted to do it. So, they gave him the lead on the project. It soon changed from a Super Nintendo game to a N64 game being 3D. But their plans were to have it be an on-rail shooter, similar to games like House of Dead and Virtua Cop. We got an FPS and not a rail shooter. Nothing wrong with them, just I prefer FPSs, and this is what we got.
You get nothing! You lose! Good day, sir!
This game took first-person shooters to the next level. It's just like watching the movie, except now you're playing it. Each level brings you to a different location from the movie, and they did a really good job recreating these levels. Each level tells the story, progresses it, and on top of that gives you a few more details that the movie didn't have. If you never watched GoldenEye and played the game, and then I asked you what happened in the movie GoldenEye, you could tell me what happened in the game, and you'd be pretty much spot on.
I am invincible!
What good would these levels be without having the one thing that you need to really have a playable game? Objectives. Now, when this game was being made, they put the objectives in after they designed the levels, which is something you typically don't do. But in this case, it really did pan out for the better of the game. This wasn't just some kind of Doom ripoff where you had to just go around killing everybody and find the exit. No, this was a game that had you do objectives to get to the exit. And even if you got to the exit, you'd still fail the mission after not doing anything. And don't worry too, because M let you have it if you didn't do any objectives or you failed them, like killing a scientist in an accident. Pretty much gave you a folder of why you were a fuck up.
If you think for one moment I don't have the balls to send a man out to die, your instincts are dead wrong.
Some of these objectives had you going through each level doing things with gadgets, just like any old 007 movie, like taking pictures of items, not to kill the scientists or any other civilians, collecting data from computers, unlocking doors, etc. But I feel like I'm forgetting one thing in particular. Could it be? I don't know. Something to do with a female that would follow you around and go in front of your gun. while trying to escort her to safety. Oh, that's what it is. Natalya.
Did you say Natalya? As in Natalya from Goldeneye 007?
Yeah, there are some issues with this game, like Natalya, but also Natalya. And besides Natalya, you have Natalya. I am kidding, of course. But some issues in the game were frame rate, and on top of that, you had people running in front of guns. Not only Natalya, I'll give her some slack where it's due. You did also have civilians and scientists running in front of guns sometimes, which would ruin the mission that you spent 10 minutes on. And then you'd have to boot it up just to do it all over again.
But hey, aren't those the joys of gaming?
My name is Reggie. I'm about kicking ass, I'm about taking names, and we're about making games.
But at least you got to hear the soundtrack every time you rebooted the game. Man, does that soundtrack just go so hard. I mean, here, just listen to it. Since this game, I have not been able to ever find pause menu music to vibe out to. I'm listening to it right now as we speak. But come on, let's talk about what really made this game what it was. That's right, the multiplayer.
Get out of the way, player! Pick up the remote control! Yeah! Woo!
Come on, you didn't actually think that I was going to talk about Goldeneye without talking about the multiplayer, did you? This set the golden standard for split-screen, first-person shooters for back in the day, and still has to this day. From people trying to block people from screen peeking with cardboard, you got your people that wanted to use the odd job, which we know who you are. Don't lie about it. We know. The map layouts were great and balanced. You had different modes like slaps where you just went around slapping people, which took forever. Then you could use grenades, you could use rocket launchers, you name it. We're talking about a game mode that wasn't even supposed to be part of the package. They made it a few months before release because they had extra time to kill. And it became one of the main reasons why people fell in love with this game. Now, I've talked about games being in my top 10 and which ones are my favorite, but this game by far is my favorite first-person shooter I've ever played.
Hello? I love you.
Now, with today's remasters and remakes, you would think, oh, I can just go play GoldenEye on Xbox Arcade or Nintendo Switch Online. And currently, you'd be wrong. But there is talks of it coming to said online stores. If that does actually happen, since this year is the 60th anniversary of 007, so it would make a lot of sense. I say bring it on. I say my couch is open to anyone who wants to take me on in slaps. Come on, who wants it?